It's all but confirmed now, guys. Lexus/Toyota just trademarked the IS 500. Welcome back to the channel, Luxurious Fleet. My name is Kirk. If you're new to the channel, I talk about, well, of course, Toyota and Lexus, but all sorts of Japanese autos. And in today's video, I am going to talk about what this IS 500 is. I've probably done it 5 times on the channel already, but I keep changing my outlook for it as time goes on. The more I think about it, the more I have to ferment the information, I can almost tell you what's going to be in this vehicle underneath that hood. Heading over to the drive, Lexus files IS 500 trademark for potential V8 sport sedan. Our dreams of a true ISF successor aren't dead yet. And here's the new 2021 IS. If you're not familiar with it, please watch my video on it. It is a phenomenal looking vehicle, but it's really just a refresh underneath. Spotted by a gr86.org forum member, the Toyota Motor Corporation filed a trademark for the IS 500 to the United States Patent and Trademark Office last week. Of course, the patent says it's for automobiles and structural parts thereof, the usual runaround. Here's the actual patent. There's not much to see here other than the date that it was filed, which was June 25th. Owner name Toyota, of course. Oh yeah, and if you didn't see, IS 500 is here, and of course over here. Now I'm done reading the article at the drive. They firmly believe that it's going to be the 2UR GSE 5-liter V8 that debuted in the original ISF back in 2007. I don't think it's going to be that engine, and for a couple reasons. I think the 2UR is too big of an engine to fit in there. You look at the RC actually has a GS front end. I should say the RCF, more specifically, has a GS front end, and that's how they're able to stick the 2UR in there. As much as I want to see the V8 in the IS, I don't think it's going to happen for another reason as well. And that reason is we've heard over and over again that Lexus is moving away from V8s, hence why there's not a V8 in the LS, and they are not going to put V8s unless the vehicle costs at least $90,000 US dollars. So of course the LC 500 will be safe there. The GX is dead, and if you want a V8 in the LX, well, you can still have that, but of course they're still working on the twin turbo V8 that was supposed to be in the LCF, but that vehicle's more than likely canceled at this point due to coronavirus and uncertainties, but the engine survives. The engine is going to be a high power output option for the Lexus brand going forward, and also an expensive option as well. So I don't think we're going to get a V8, and that includes the twin turbo V8 and also the Heritage 2UR GSE with 470-ish horsepower depending on the vehicle it's in. And also, since it says IS 500, not 500H, it's not going to be a hybrid, and we kind of knew that, but it would have been cool to see the LC 500Hs or the LS 500Hs 351 horsepower hybrid setup. That would be awesome. I know the Toyota Crown over there in Japan gets that setup. Alas, we don't get anything like that other than the LC and the LS hybrids here. Now, in my last video that I made on the IS, or one of the last videos, I've made so many. One of the last videos I made was talking about the 5 things we missed from the IS 500, sorry, the IS 350s, or the new IS, the 2021 IS's debut from Lexus just a couple of weeks ago. And the 5th point I brought up in that video was, what is this hyped up powertrain, this higher power option coming that they teased but haven't, of course, officially debuted? And we knew it was probably going to be the IS 500. But in that video, anyways, in that video, I thought it would be the inline 6 twin turbo, or maybe supercharged, whatever they decide to do with that inline 6 from the collaboration with Mazda and that rear wheel drive platform that they have with Mazda. However, I don't think that engine will be here that soon. This is making me think that this is going to be in the next year or two. That inline 6 is not going to be ready, I believe, until the 2023 model year for the Mazda 6, which will be rear-wheel drive. That rear-wheel drive platform will be the underbasis of the upcoming IS, not the 2021 IS, but let's say a 2024 IS. I think this IS is just a stopgap, but they have been touting the performance of this thing, and the 311 horsepower V6 that we've had on it since the dawn of Lexus, it feels like, it's not cutting it anymore for at least the 5% enthusiast out there. So although that inline 6 is coming, it's too far away for it to be in this IS 500 that could be here in the next year or two. So what does that leave us? And this is all speculation on my part, but that leaves one engine. I'm ruling out the V8s, I'm ruling out hybrids, I'm ruling out the inline 6, which is coming. It's coming. I'm happy to be right or wrong about it because that's exciting. But the twin turbo V6 from the LS, I'm still remembering the name, the V35A FTS. It's got 416 horsepower, which is more than any outgoing V8 that the LS ever had. It's also got 443 pound-feet of torque that's available at 1600 RPM. Now my concerns why I didn't think this engine was going to be available in this IS, because I was like, you know, it's too big. It's too big of a setup to shove into this IS. Well, I think it's actually more compact than the 5-liter V8. And when you're just looking at displacement, of course it's more compact. But it's got a pretty tight V angle. I think it's 60 degrees instead of like a 90 degree that you see in a lot of engines. They can modify the setup anyways to fit the IS 500. And it would make sense. The LS 500 has a twin turbo V6, this V35A FTS. The IS can have this V35A FTS as well. The more I say it, the more I'll remember it, right? I gotta keep saying it. Now we know in the LS, that engine is mated with a 10-speed auto. It's possible that they could shove a 10-speed auto in the IS, but I'm going to say they're not going to spend that much money on it. I'm going to say that they would mate it to keep costs down anyways. They would mate it to the 8-speed transmission, and that means it's only going to be a rear-wheel drive IS. It's not going to be an IS 500 all-wheel drive, at least I don't think so. I mean, it's always possible, but they would have to put the 6-speed automatic with it, and they're not going to do that. Or the 10-speed, and I don't think they're going to do that either. So they're going to put the 8-speed with it, with the twin turbo V6. And the cool thing is that it will have roughly the same horsepower as original ISF back in the day. However, it's going to have a ton more torque, and it should, in theory, be faster as well, at least in a straight line. Now, would they beef up the brakes to this IS 500? It's a possibility, and why do I think that is? Typically the Fs get a reworking of the brakes. Well, no, they always do. They get beefier brakes. We typically don't see that in an F Sport trim. Well, there's one exception to that, at least in my knowledge. LS 500 F Sport actually has a brake upgrade with larger rotors, larger brake calipers as well. They could give this IS 500 that same treatment. I think people will be really, really happy about that. No, it's not an ISF. And I think they're smart about not calling it the ISF, because if they named it the ISF, it would have to perform on the same tier of the BMW M3, for example. And I just don't think it's capable of matching that monster. Definitely not in the handling aspects. It's going to be too heavy for that. But you put this twin turbo V6 in there, this 3.444 liter, if I call it 3.5 liter, some of you guys out there, you give me a hard time for calling it a 3.5 liter when technically it's a 3.444 liter twin turbo V6. Anyways, put that engine in this IS and it will satiate us until we get, fingers crossed, if the F brand doesn't die, you know, 4 or 5 years from now with this new Skyactiv inline 6 and rear-wheel drive platform that's going to be shared with Mazda. When's the earliest we will see this IS 500? Well, it could be sooner than we think. So we have the Acura TLX Type S coming out in the spring of 2021. What if Lexus decides to roll this out around the same time to give it a run for its money? It's going to have more horsepower. It's going to have more torque. Yeah, it's going to cost more too. Speaking of price, I think this is going to be minimum 60 grand for this IS, more than likely 65 up to 70 grand, which is encroaching on the original ISF's price territory, which is fine because this thing should outperform it in just about every single aspect. Well, guys, am I right? I don't know. Time will tell if I'm right or wrong. I want you guys to tell me what you think down in the comments below. If you want model cars, check out my Amazon page. Finally, a little bit more clarity, a little bit more confirmation that this high power IS is finally coming after the dismay and the disappointment of the IS 2020 unveil we got a couple weeks ago. Like always, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Until next time, peace out.